Hey, how are you? This is Chris Verselli, Muscle Activation Techniques Master Specialist. Thank you for stopping by nonfictionfitness.com for another video. And in this video, I am going to talk about stretching. All right, this is a very misunderstood topic that has gotten a lot of controversy over the years, primarily because in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been some pretty substantial research that's shown that the types of stretching that most people do, called either static or dynamic stretching, are actually harmful to their joints, their muscles, and their connective tissue. It actually can create weakness and do some other things that are not wanted effects. So I'm going to talk about those types of stretches, which are classified as passive stretches. I'm also going to talk about a safer way to stretch, which is called active stretching. And I'm going to go through a little routine that you can follow along with to help you to kind of figure out how you can best stretch at home. All right, so first of all, let me just tell you just a little bit of what's going on when you stretch. So, as the name stretching denotes, you are actually stretching or elongating muscle. Now, the other thing that you have to keep in mind, though, is that you're also moving at your joint, and you're also potentially stretching some ligaments, some other connective tissue, and nerves and blood vessels. So you want to be very gentle with these. You don't want to go too aggressive because some of that stuff doesn't quite stretch as well as the other stuff. All right, so in all these stretches, we're going to be elongating some things, but then we're also going to be contracting some things and kind of doing the opposite, kind of shortening some stuff. So there's going to be a simultaneous strengthening benefit and a simultaneous flexibility or stretching benefit. All right, so I'm going to start here with some stuff that we can do for the core and trunk area. And I have this chair here that will be good to position myself in. Now, the easiest way to begin this is to just kind of find your center a little bit, kind of rotate a little bit, kind of get a little bit loosened up, okay? Now once I've done that, then I can start my stretching routine with what's called a trunk rotation, okay? So I'm going to rotate everything from my hips and above. I'm going to start to my right side. I'm going to hold this for a few seconds. If you want an exact count, I'd say about a 10 count. I'm not going to do all of these for 10 seconds, but when you do this at home, you can go ahead and do it for 10 seconds. Then I'm going to go to the left side. And what I'm doing is I'm going as far as I can, and then I'm kind of trying to pull myself a little bit further, okay? So I'm squeezing a lot of muscle, and I'm stretching a lot of muscle, okay? Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do just a trunk stretch going forward. We're going to start with one leg out. We'll reach forward. Now this may look kind of similar to a stretch that maybe you've done before, or maybe you've seen someone else do, where maybe they'll reach forward as far as they can, grab their foot and pull. All right, that's an example of a passive stretch. That's where I take something outside of the joint and the muscles that I'm trying to stretch, and I use that to get me to go further in that direction. Maybe I'm using a rope, maybe I'm using my hand, but I'm not using the actual muscles that move the joints that I am stretching, okay? If I do it just this way, now I have to come up with all the power to move me in this direction. That means that I am actively doing it. That's where that term comes from, active stretching. So I'm going to do the other side. Now in this one, you'll get a nice stretch here in your hamstring area, as well as in your shoulder, as well as in your trunk. Okay. Then you can start with the knee bent, bring the leg up. All right, now again, this is probably like one that you've seen before where you grab and pull, but you see the difference. This is as far as I can pull my leg with just the muscle power of my leg. If I use my hand, I can pull it a lot further. The difference between this position and this position could be the difference between weakness and strength, between hurting myself and not hurting myself, and some other unwanted side effects and coming away unscathed, okay? So I'm going to choose to do this the safer way, and I encourage you to do the same. Now I'm going to hold this again for about a 10 count, and then let it down. Okay? Now I'm going to come to my upper body. All right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a gentle stretch going up, and I'm going to hold this position. Okay? And then I'm going to do a gentle one going out. And what I'm basically doing is I'm taking my joints and my muscles into their furthest position. And I'm pulling further into that position. So I'm bringing them all the way back, and then I'm trying to pull them a little bit further. So I'm squeezing the muscles back here, and I'm stretching the muscles back here. Okay? And now we'll go here. Okay, with the elbows bent, we're rotating backwards, and we're getting a little bit of an arch in the back and a little bit of an arch in the head. All right, and now we'll go in. Okay, rotating in the other way. Okay? So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and finish my lower body stretching. Okay? First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my leg up. I'm going to rotate it out. All right, and this is going to get a nice squeeze right in here. Okay, and I'm going to rotate it in. This is great for any kind of rotational sport or movement, like maybe golf or tennis, or even have some of my baseball players do this. And we're going to do the other side. We can do a single leg going straight up. And again, this looks a lot like the stretching that a lot of people do in this position, where they take maybe a rope and pull. I really prefer this over the other because there's a lot fewer side effects. Actually, some studies have shown that doing passive stretching can actually cause weakness, not even in the muscles on the side that you stretch, but even in the opposite side. And they theorize that there might be some neurological issues that arise from that type of stretching. So it's a very dangerous way to go. Then we're going to finish with this one. Okay, a very simple stretch. Also looks very similar to what I'm sure you've done many times before. Okay, and that's a very easy way to get your body loosened up, to actually start getting the blood flow going. You can actually kind of probably hear it in my voice. I'm getting a little bit winded because I'm actually exerting some energy to do this, and it's increasing my blood flow. It's getting me warmed up. If I was going to go and play a sport or do an exercise right now, I'd be prepared, much more prepared than I would if I had done the other type of stretching. So this is a really easy way that you can begin your flexibility program. And if you still have parts of your body that are restricted or maybe feel very weak and just aren't getting the type of mobility that you'd like, pick up a copy of my book. You can get it free on this website. It's called Improve Muscles, Improve Life. It'll actually talk about an issue that can arise within muscle that doesn't allow them to function properly, that you actually need some additional intervention to correct. And you'll find that book very useful and very helpful for understanding that particular problem, which is extremely common, by the way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Shoot me an email and give me some comments, Chris@nonfictionfitness.com, and be on the lookout for the next one. All right, God bless.